If you look at it, this is 12-foot long lumber and there's only 3 stickers. And you look at it, the stickers aren't near the end. So here's the question. Is there a right way or a wrong way to sticker wood? There is, and we're gonna talk about it.
First of all, Kendall, what even is a sticker?
So a sticker is simply a stick of wood, a small piece of wood that you use to place in between the rows to create an air gap so lumber can dry on both sides, not just one side, or be isolated inside of a pack.
And also this stuff helps prevent sticker stains. What is sticker stain?
Sticker shadow or sticker stain is a dark line that goes across a board. After you plane a board, there's still a dark line that runs through. It happens in whitewoods a lot, especially when you dry them in the summer.
Yep.
So what kind of wood do we use for stickers? Typically we're using an aspen or a pine. They have low tannins, so they're not going to stain other types of woods. They also dry fast. You want to use a very dry sticker.
No, or you can use what's called a fluted sticker, in which case it's essentially a groove that's cut in the middle of the sticker so that there's a very minimal surface area that touches the actual wood that you're trying to dry.
That's very common in use for like maple and other whitewoods to reduce sticker shadow.
But first, before we even start laying boards down, we need to address the issue of ground moisture rising up from below and hitting the boards underneath.
One of the problems that we have when we sticker lumber is moisture coming up from the ground. Now there's 2 things that happen there. One, if you can see down here, which you probably can't, but if we zoom in a little bit, you can see we got a lot of vegetation growing up around those that doesn't allow air to go through, and vegetation also holds moisture. So a solution that Kyle came up with, is actually not a bad one, it has its drawbacks, but not a bad one, is?
Well, actually in the comment section, a lot of you came up with it, is using a vapor barrier at some point where you just lay it down underneath the area that you're gonna be placing your boards down.
Yep.
Now, but there's some problems with that Kendall just thought of right away when I was telling him about it. What are the problems?
Well, one of the problems I thought, well, if it rains a bunch, you're just gonna have a puddle of water down there that can't soak into the ground. And so then you're gonna have moisture right next to your wood. But on the flip side, you're gonna have no vegetation growing up because it can't get through the barrier. And then I think as the wind blows, it'll evaporate quickly off that surface.
Another solution is having some way where you can have your stack of woods up higher above the vegetation, and then using a weed whip and making sure that there's no vegetation coming up and touching your boards. Before we even place our vapor barrier down, we need to pay attention to the direction that we lay these boards down in the first place.
Let's go back over and look at this lumber over here. We can kind of talk about that.
One of the things most people forget to think about is proper airflow through the boards. Now, one of the important things is the orientation in which you put your stack down in the first place. See, for example, airflow that's going through the boards this way are going to be blocked by all the dunnage and all the stickers. But if you have airflow going through this way, that's the most optimal airflow for these boards. And the optimal placement for your entire stack also matters too. You're going to want to put these lengthwise along the path of the prevailing winds that's come from the west, am I correct?
Yep, typically winds come from the west, so they're gonna blow through this way. Get the foundation and the wind direction correct. And you've already solved more problems than most lumber ever gets a chance to develop.
But here's the thing, you can have these precautions in place and still watch that beautiful piece of maple twist like a pretzel.
Why? Because the next mistake has nothing to do with airflow or wind. It has to do with your sticker spacing.
And it changes depending on the wood that you're working with. Also, one more thing, we've noticed that most of you guys that watch our videos aren't subscribed, so go down there and hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Back to the video.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start stacking and stickering a little bit of lumber. We just got a small pile here. We're gonna kind of show you how to do it. First things first that I learned a long time ago, check the quality of your lumber and make sure that it's actually good enough to stack and sticker. One thing I do, I always try and have my stickers close to the ends of the boards, okay? So what happens as lumber dries, you get cracks that'll come in this direction. And if you can get a sticker placed right in there, it kind of stops that crack, puts pressure on the board, so it'll hold it a little better. And here we have different lengths, right? What do? Well, you gotta pick one side that's gonna be your matched end, and then one side that's gonna be your long end, okay? I'm gonna go with that end.
So this is arguably a very pathetic looking moisture barrier, but there's better ones on Amazon. We'll include a better moisture barrier in the description down below, or you can see the link showing up right about here. And then again, we'll put a QR code right about here if you're watching on your television. We receive a small commission off of any product you purchase using one of our links at no extra cost to you, by the way. Thanks in advance, brother.
Now that I've got my first layer, we're gonna set our stickers. I always go right over the top of my main supports down below there. And this is a utility grade. It's not gonna be a finish grade. So to be honest with you, if it was grade lumber, I would put stickers closer together. But for this purpose, we're just gonna stack these. They're gonna be about 3 feet apart, just about.
So the general rule is anywhere from 16 to 24 inches of spacing. But with higher grade lumber and lumber like white woods, like maple and maple.
Cherry. Maple and maple and maple.
And cherry.
And other maples.
You're gonna want anywhere from a 10 to 12 inch separation between stickers. So
yeah,
nice
keep
and
them
close
really,
together.
Keep them really tight because those woods want to move a lot as they dry.
Yep. And another thing, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're stacking each level with the same thickness of boards.
As I'm stacking lumber, if you pay attention to your stickers, you want it to be in a straight line going up. And if you look, I just set a board on and some of these have moved, okay? So as you're going along, you want to correct any movement in those stickers so you have a nice straight line going up. That way your weight is transferred down through those stickers on every board in a nice even fashion. If you get your stickers kind of wonky and out of place, then you end up where over here where you're going to have boards that are actually bowing under weight because the weight isn't placed on a sticker, it's placed on the board. And that is not a good thing. If you want to have straight lumber, you've got to sticker properly.
These stickers look great and all, but you're gonna need something to hold it all down in place. And ratchet straps won't help, especially if you forget to tighten.
So here we have some lumber that we stacked and stickered a while ago. But you can see we put a band around it to hold it tight, keep it from falling apart. But look how much it shrank. So you've got to pay attention as your lumber dries, it's gonna shrink.
The same thing happens with ratchet straps.
Yeah.
If you're putting ratchet straps down there, you gotta pay attention to that and tighten them every once in a while. But if you forget, then you're really in trouble. So what else could we possibly do?
Oh, I can show you.
All right, let's go and find out. Now we got that same stack lined up there. And now we're gonna put some sort of weight. And this is our solution. We're gonna put some sort of weight on top of it to keep it all weighted down. And if you look closely, we put the Dunnage pieces parallel or in line to the stickers so that the weight transfers through all the way down. As you can see, these were done a little bit better than the ones over there.
Yeah, but if you look here, one of the things I do, like let's say your stickers don't match up all the way. Best thing you can do is put a piece of Dunnage over this sticker and a piece of Dunnage underneath this one. So that will help kind of even out the weight between the two of them and you'll get the least amount of warpage. So now our stack has got proper weight up high to push pressure down. It's got good airflow and it's gonna hold its shape outside.
So you might think the hard part is over.
But the most damage I've ever seen happen to lumber didn't even happen outside.
It happened the moment after kiln drying when someone brought that wood home and tried to store it indoors. If you've seen in one of our previous videos, I talked about stickering lumber to let the lumber acclimate in the shop after you bring it home. That is an extremely good idea to let it sit around for about a week or two to, again, acclimate to the area that the final project is gonna live in.
And you're gonna wanna have a way to check your lumber's moisture content over time in your shop.
And one way you can do that is with a moisture meter. As you can see right here, we've included a QR code for a Wagner moisture meter. Those are pinless meters. They're kind of expensive, but they're the top of the line.
But here's the uncomfortable truth. We've talked about stickering your kiln-dried boards to keep them straight in this video. But those boards can still warp or cup long after you sticker them in your shop. And you're not gonna know it until you go to build it. But there's a little-known system for keeping your lumber perfectly flat in your shop. Some woodworkers never lose a board, while others lose half their stack every year. So we're gonna show you the secret to keeping your kiln-dried boards perfectly flat for long periods of time in this video right here.
We'll see you there, brother.
And sister.
What are we doing, Ken? What are we doing, Kendall?
All right, so the other day, I'm driving through the yard and I see a problem.
Story. It's got a full story.